The 2025 season is over. The Dodgers are the World Series champions, and now it's the offseason. So I wanted to go through and give you my free agent predictions for all the major free agents this offseason. I'll go through all the positions, go through all the big names, and tell you what team I think they're going to sign with. I normally go through every single player in the offseason. Honestly, just risk-reward factor. Predicting where Lucas Sims is going to sign this offseason, just not really that interesting. So instead, we're naming all the big guys, impact players. I'd love to know where you guys think these guys will sign down in the comment section below. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the baseball content coming at you all off season long. Okay, starting it off at the catcher position, we have JT Realmuto. Realmuto's been with the Phillies for the last 7 seasons. He's one of the best catchers in baseball, maybe not where he used to be the best, but still at age 35, he is a very, very good catcher. Good defensively, good enough at the plate. People are going to want to sign JT Realmuto, but truthfully, I can't really see him leaving the Phillies. The Phillies have a gaping hole at the catcher position. There are not many better options at the catcher position, and Realmuto knows the staff well, he knows the city, he knows the team, he knows the organization. I just don't see a world where the Phillies don't bring back JT. It just feels like kind of like a one-year deal with another option on it. If he doesn't sign with the Phillies, I weirdly think he could go back to the Marlins. Marlins had one of the worst catching seasons in baseball last year. Augustin Ramirez is a DH, he can't play the position. Liam Hicks was a nice surprise, but I think he's a better backup than everyday starter, which is why I think JT Realmuto would be a great fit back in Miami. I also weirdly think the Marlins could spend some money this offseason. But official prediction, back to the Phillies. Salvador Perez has a club option. I fully expect the Royals to pick up that option. If not, I would be shocked to see him still sign anywhere else. Maybe they just work out a different contract, a different deal. Salvi feels like someone who should play for the Royals for the entirety of his career. And truthfully, this might be an exhaustive process to even mention where he's signing because at the time of recording, we don't know what the deal is, but they're probably picking up that club option. And then the last catcher that I think could have some impact is Victor Caratini, who I think will sign with the Tampa Bay Rays. Caratini low-key had a great season last year for the Houston Astros, taking over a lot more catching duties than you would have expected because of the bad season from Yainer Diaz. Finished with an OPS plus above 100 at 101, plays good defense. I think he's a solid catcher, a guy the Rays could definitely be interested in. Along with the fact that he's a switch hitting catcher and hits pretty well, like there's value there for sure. Moving on to the first base position, of course, we got to talk about Pete Alonso, one of the best first basemen in baseball, hitting the free agent market and demanding a lot. He spent his entire career with the Mets. He opted out of the deal they signed last offseason, and according to Pete and Scott Boras, Pete's looking to get paid. As much as I do think the Mets are the favorites to sign Pete Alonso, if Pete wants the crazy contracts that he's asking for, he's simply not going to be back in the New York Mets uniform. So instead, I have Pete actually signing with the Boston Red Sox. I know they have Tristan Casas. I know they have Nathaniel Lowe, but Pete Alonso is a clear upgrade to this roster. He would absolutely eat in Fenway Park, and when you bring in a guy to that lineup who's going to give you 40 home runs, 120 RBIs a season with an OPS in the high 800s, you don't really care what his defense looks like because it is atrocious at first besides the scoops. They've got money to spend. They just move off the Devers contract. While I don't think Pete will be the most team-friendly contract, especially in his later years, if the Red Sox really want to make some noise in 2026, an instant way to do that is to bring in Pete Alonso to be their everyday first baseman. Next up, we have Josh Naylor, who had an awesome second half with the Seattle Mariners, was stealing bases, was big in the postseason for them. Josh Naylor is a criminally underrated first baseman in baseball, and I do think he's going to have a somewhat robust market. Again, the first base market's going to be a revolving door. A lot of dominoes are going to need to fall, and a lot of moves and pieces are going to be made this offseason that might change these predictions more than any other position. I truthfully see the Mariners bringing back Naylor. Just feels like a really good match for those two, but of course, his market's going to be competitive, and a team that I could see going after him needs a first baseman badly, has struggled at the corner position the last few seasons. That's the Texas Rangers in the same division. I know they're trying to shed some money off the payroll by moving a guy like Adolis Garcia and maybe even some other pieces. I do think Naylor would be a nice younger first base option that the Rangers could bring in on an aggressive short-term deal where they wouldn't be held accountable for too much money, but would still be improving this team because let's be honest, there's no way they should have been as bad as they were this past season. You bring in a Josh Naylor to that lineup, all of a sudden, you're looking at an AL West contender again. Ryan O'Hearn, fantastic season with the Orioles and the Padres, more so with Baltimore than it was in San Diego, but he's a good first baseman. He mashes against right-handed pitching, and while he is more platoon favorable, you don't really want him facing lefties, he still is so good that it's okay if he has to face the occasional lefty. So for me, the team that screams like obvious for Ryan O'Hearn is the Milwaukee Brewers. They love platoons. Him and Andrew Vaughn at first base, why not? That seems like a match made in heaven, a good way to get some more power into that lineup. Ooh, one of the most controversial free agents this offseason, Luis Arraez. Whether you love him or you hate him, you can't deny that his free agency is going to be bizarre. He hits for a high average, but has absolutely no power, doesn't play well in the field, and can't run the bases. But he hits for a high average. He technically does get on base pretty well. I think we've kind of gone a little bit too far in the opposite direction. Luis Arraez definitely does have value, but I don't know if he should be hitting in your lineup every single day like the Padres had him. Ultimately, when I see a player like this of Luis Arraez's caliber, I instantly go to the Angels. Now, I know they have Nolan Schanuel playing first base. I don't think he's going to play first. I think they're going to put Arraez to second base. I know they have Christian Moore, but again, this seems like this could be a good platoon. Anytime I feel like there's a move that's going to be weird, I tend to go to the Angels. I would want them to play Christian Moore more, but I can totally see Artie Moreno being like, ooh, Luis Arraez, high batting average. I want that guy. Let's talk about two of the superstar Japanese hitters coming on over this offseason. You've got Munetaka Murakami and Kazuma Okamoto. First, let's talk about Murakami. He's the big name. He broke the MPB record for home runs a few years ago. He's got massive power. He's an on-base machine, puts up crazy exit velos, but has a ton of swing and miss in his game, struggles with the breaking ball, and struggles with the high velo. There is concern with both of these players, Okamoto as well, but Murakami definitely gives you a super high ceiling. There's been a weird rumor that the Guardians apparently are in love with Murakami that's been floating over in Japan, and honestly, I kind of love the idea. I'm not going to pick a boring team. I'm going to say Murakami ends up signing with the Cleveland Guardians. This is one of the big pieces that they need to bring into this lineup. They desperately need some offense. I don't think he can play third base. He's going to be a first base or a DH. The Guardians could use that. Jose Ramirez put that organization on blast. He said, if you don't try to win now, I'm not signing an extension. This would be a move to help prove to J-Ram, you need to stay here. We're trying to win. And I really hope the Guardians do go out and get him. For Okamoto, he's a little less power-oriented like Murakami is, but he's probably a higher floor, lower ceiling player. Being said, Okamoto is not bad. He hit like 30 home runs a season out in the MPB. He had an OPS in the 800-900s for a couple seasons. He's not going to have as much swing and miss, and he's not going to have as many towering shots, but he is still a very good player. He's only going to be 30 years old next year, and I do think that the New York Mets try and find their new first baseman in Kazuma Okamoto. So Okamoto to the Mets is my prediction. For the last first baseman, quickly, Paul Goldschmidt. I think he goes back to the Diamondbacks. They need a first baseman. He is still good enough, and I think going back to where it started would be a cool way for Paul Goldschmidt to put a nice bow to the end of his career. So Goldschmidt, I'm still predicting it to the Diamondbacks. Second base, only two guys to talk about. Gleyber Torres up first. Low-key think that Gleyber could be one of the more underappreciated free agents on the market right now. He had a really good season with the Tigers, and while he may not be that Gleyber Torres we saw in 2019 where he hit 38 home runs, he'll never be that player again. He's still valuable to a team. He's an above-average hitter, fine at second base, so winning baseball player. So I think that this is a good guy for the Athletics to actually go out, spend some money, put at second base. And I do think they will. They spent a little bit of money last year. They're still cheap, still not paying their guys, but a short-term deal to Gleyber Torres, maybe a 2-year, 3-year deal at the most, for a guy that's going to be extremely affordable, I love the fit with him on the A's. Think he would be a great player for them to bring in. And then for Jorge Polanco, second base, third base, DH, whatever you want to say he is, I think ultimately he signs with the Kansas City Royals, who have a gaping hole at second base. You can't play Michael Massey. You can't play Jonathan India. Those guys stunk it up this past year. You know who didn't? Jorge Polanco had a phenomenal year. It was a bit up and down at times, but he was huge in the postseason. He's a big game player. He was off to a blazing start at the year, and truthfully, he would help just even get more major league caliber hitters in this lineup for a Royals team and a Royals org who clearly wants to win and is trying to without spending an insane amount of money. They do spend more, though, than you'd expect. So I think they're going to go after Jorge Polanco. Shortstop, 4 guys, but they're kind of all over the place. First up is Bo Bichette, who's definitely going to get paid this offseason, whether it's by the Blue Jays or another team. I know his post-World Series comments kind of made you think that Bo was on his way out, talked about how special the group was and how he'll never forget these memories. Usually means he's not re-signing, but truthfully, I still think the Blue Jays are the odds-on favorites. If not him, I think he's going to be a Detroit Tiger. They need some middle infield help, whether it's at shortstop, which I truthfully wouldn't play Bo Bichette at, or second base. They'll find a way to put Bo into this lineup, make this team's offense better, and worry about the defense later. Bo Bichette's a really good ball player. I think the Tigers pay him. Trevor Story still has not officially opted out. I think he might, and if he doesn't, I mean, it doesn't matter. I just have him going back to the Red Sox. I don't think he's leaving, so there's the prediction. I guess I don't even have to do whether he opts out or not. I think he's just going to be a Red Sox. Miguel Rojas, the unlikely hero of Game 7 in the World Series, is a free agent, and weirdly, I think he's going to get some starting playing time at the shortstop position. The glove's still great. The bat was actually okay this year. He was a league average hitter. He's got his World Series rings. Time to go get paid a little bit, and the Atlanta Braves, it feels like this is a guy they'd go after. Good glove at the position. They still have good hitters. They don't need too much out of Miggy Rowe. Feels like a really good fit. A 1-year contract, maybe with an option. Play shortstop, play good defense. They did it with Nick Allen. This is basically a better version of Nick Allen because he can hit. Not the same glove, but you still take the bat. I could see the Braves going after Miggy Rowe on a cheap shortstop option. And then for the last shortstops, Ha-Sung Kim is probably going to be a free agent again. Again, not official just yet. If he is, I weirdly think he's going to sign back with the Rays. I think they only traded him or got rid of him because there was value to be had. I still think they want Ha-Sung Kim back on that team. I think they're going to sign him and put him at shortstop again. Moving on to third base, we got 2 big names and 1 quick one. Biggest name being Alex Bregman, who did opt out of his contract with the Boston Red Sox. He wants to get paid. He's going to get a good contract. He had a really strong season. I still still don't think that there's going to be a better fit than playing in either Houston or Boston for Alex Bregman. But one team that he was linked to last year that I think has a really good shot to sign him again this offseason is the Washington Nationals. They've desperately been looking for some leadership help, and if you want a leader, Alex Bregman's a great guy. They have a lot of great young players, but they need that guy who's been around, is a professional, has been there before, has success at the major league level. I think Bregman would be a great piece. Also, he has weird ties to the city of Washington. I want to say like his grandfather was somehow involved in the former Washington Redskins. I can see Bregman going to Washington. Eugenio Suarez, big time power, big home runs. Little inconsistent, but he's got that top end power that you can't find too often. I've got Eugenio signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. I think they move on from Alec Boehm this offseason. I think they put Suarez at third base, get a big bat in this lineup. This lineup is weirdly extremely top heavy, and by getting Suarez over a guy like Alec Boehm, it's an instant upgrade. Or you move Boehm to first and you move Harper back to the outfield. There's a lot of room on this Phillies team where they could get some better players. And Dave Dombrowski, I think this is a make it or break it year. If he doesn't win it all or make the World Series, he's probably fired. Got to go out and get some guys. Go get Eugenio Suarez, who I believe was someone he had on the Tigers while he was working for the Tigers. So there is a bit of a connection. And then last, Yohan Moncada, kind of in the same role-ish as Gleyber Torres, just at third base. I think he could be on the Athletics. All right, let's move on to the outfield. Bunch of good outfielders. Some of them we don't have to talk too much about. Of course, we'll start off with Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker is going to get paid. He's by far the best free agent on the market. He won't be 30 until 2027. Kyle Tucker is a really, really good player. And there's only a few teams that can pay him, will pay him. A lot of teams should pay him because he is that good. I don't think it's the Cubs. I don't think it's the Yankees. I just mentioned them before. I think it is the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, they have to kind of go balls to the wall. And while they do have a lot of money tied up to a lot of players, until they prove that they don't have any money left, I think they're going to try and do everything that they can to win. And Kyle Tucker in Philadelphia feels like a match made in heaven. That left-handed swing in that ballpark, he's going to hit 40 home runs a year with Bryce Harper. I don't think he's necessarily the Schwarber replacement, but he might be more valuable to this team because he can actually play the outfield. So for me, Kyle Tucker, Phillies. Cody Bellinger, really good season. He has value. He can play all the outfield positions, including center, which is huge, and that's kind of where I think he's going to position himself. He can also play first base. That reason, I put him on the Mets. The Mets need a center fielder and possibly a first baseman if Pete Alonso doesn't sign, and Cody Bellinger plays good defense, something that David Stearns really emphasized in his post-season press conference. He wants to get better defense, and Bellinger can do that at every position he plays. So I think Bellinger is going to be a New York Met. Harrison Bader was awesome. He was so good. He made fundamental changes to his game. The bat speed is up. He's a legit good baseball player now on both sides of the ball. He can hit, he can field. The Diamondbacks need a center fielder. I think Harrison Bader's going to be that guy. I know last season stunk and they sold at the deadline, but it felt like a soft sell to me. Guys they knew weren't going to be back. So might as well cash in and get some prospects back. Harrison Bader, put him in center field. All of a sudden, you're looking at a much better outfield. Trent Grisham, I don't know if he'll play center field or if he goes to a corner, but ultimately, I think he's a Los Angeles Dodger. That outfield was kind of crazy in the postseason. Andy Paz was horrible. You were playing Kike Hernandez in left field. Both those guys, right-handed bats. Trent Grisham would fit beautifully in a platoon in the Dodgers outfield between center field, left field, right field, whatever it is. You could mix and match, and Trent Grisham hit 30 home runs this year. He was awesome. If the Dodgers miss out on Tucker, which I have them missing out in this prediction, I think they pivot to Grisham and bring him in. Also could see a Cody Bellinger reunion, which would kind of be insane. Three other outfielders to mention quickly that I think will play like starting roles. Mike Yastrzemski, I think he's going to be a Cleveland Guardian. I don't know why, just feels like it. Max Kepler, I think goes to the Mariners. You just can't keep running Victor Robles out in right field every single day. Give me Max Kepler. I know it's a little redundant when Canzone, but I think Kepler gives you a little more ceiling. And then Cedric Mullins. Astros need an outfielder. He's more of a corner guy now. We saw how bad his arm was with the Mets. I think Mullins signs with the Astros. For the last positions on the offensive side of the ball, we have the DH. Two guys to talk about. Kyle Schwarber, of course, first. If he doesn't go back to the Phillies, I don't know why, but again, I have a gut feeling that he signed with the Diamondbacks. Don't feel great about it. Again, I still think he's going to be a Philadelphia Philly, but if he's not, give me the D-backs. And then Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna, again, I think just stays with the Braves on a somewhat friendly contract. He's still got something left in the tank. If he doesn't sign with the Braves, I think he goes to the Padres. Those were the hitters. Let's talk about the pitchers now. I'm not going to be as in-depth with all the pitchers because truthfully, we kind of know what they are. So apologies if I don't talk too much about where Max Scherzer or Tyler Mahle's signing. But we're not starting with them. We're starting with Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is going to get the qualifying offer put on him, which is going to make him a little less interesting for teams to give up a pick for, especially coming off a horrible season. If he's not a San Diego Padre, I think a team that would be willing to do that could be the New York Mets. So that's where I have Cease going right now. It just feels like a David Stearns type player. The stuff is really good. He is a good pitcher. Maybe because he'll have the qualifying offer attached to him, he won't be as expensive as if he did, because that does play a difference. Framber Valdez, straight up one of the top 20 pitchers in baseball. Every single year, Framber Valdez gets ground balls, he gets strikeouts. He's really good. The ERA is always in the low threes. Weird stuff happened at the end of the season between him and the catcher, of course, in Houston, and it definitely left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. But Orioles, Mike Elias, former Astros guy, Framber Valdez, Astro, Framber, Baltimore Orioles. Get another starting pitcher in that rotation. It needs help. Framber feels like a pretty safe pick. Ranger Suarez, really good with the Phillies, but I just don't think they're gonna bring him back. I don't know, I have a gut feeling that he's one of those guys that they pass on. They attach the qualifying offer, let him hit free agency, and I could see the Atlanta Braves going after him. They need some starting pitching help, especially with all the injuries that they've had. And while watching Ranger, you don't think he's an ace, on paper, he puts up frontline starter stuff. And for the Braves, who had a disappointing season, I fully expect them to try and get back quick, and a guy like Ranger in this rotation would help. All right, let's speed run through some of these pitchers. Jack Flaherty, Angels. He's an LA boy. Put him back in California. Chris Bassett. I think he's going back to the Athletics. He would be a great pitcher in that ballpark. Michael King feels like a San Francisco Giant. I can't tell you why. It's just a taste. Zach Allen would be a great arm for the Red Sox to add to that rotation on a short-term deal, kind of like they did with Lucas Giolito. Merrill Kelly, you are a Tiger. And Justin Verlander, you are also a Tiger, retiring in Detroit. It's the only thing that makes sense. Zach Eflin, I believe you go to the Houston Astros, try and reclaim some money back on a one-year deal. Max Scherzer, I think he's a Baltimore Oriole as well. They always seem to sign these veteran pitchers. They did it with Charlie Morton last year. I think it's going to be Max Scherzer this year. Lucas Giolito, don't know why, but feels like the Chicago Cubs. Brandon Woodruff is surely back with the Brewers. If not, I got him going to the Guardians. Another just big dude in that rotation. And then these last two pitchers, Tyler Mahle and Tatsuya Imai, coming over from the NPB, I think both these guys could be Toronto Blue Jays. That rotation is going to be very light. They're going to need to sign a lot of guys, and these would be two really good pickups for the Blue Jays coming off of making the World Series. And then last but not least, we have the bullpen. We'll talk about Edwin Diaz real quick. I think he's a New York Met until he's not. He did just opt out, but I think Stearns is weirdly going to pay him, because if he doesn't, the Los Angeles Dodgers simply will. Their bullpen was such a mess, they would love to have Edwin Diaz in there. They got his brother. They're going to try and get him. Hopefully he's still a New York Met. And then the other big name reliever is going to be Robert Suarez, who did opt out of his contract with the Padres. I don't think the Padres bring him back. They got Mason Miller. Instead, I think he actually goes to the Reds. Ground ball pitcher in that ballpark makes a ton of sense. You want to keep the ball out of the air. Robert Suarez is a perfect fit. For the rest of the relievers, Raisel Iglesias, Detroit Tigers to help bolster that bullpen. Ryan Helsley, horrible with the Mets. I think you're going to go to the Pirates to get some free saves. Devin Williams, Washington Nationals. Don't know why. Just feel it. Kenley Jansen, he's going back to the Dodgers. He's talked openly about how that's basically the only team he wants to play for when he retires. I think he does it this year. Tyler Rogers, I think, stays with the Mets. I don't think they let him go. He's very good. Emilio Pagan, new closer for the Texas Rangers. Brad Keller with the Philadelphia Phillies, because they just want to throw another power turbo arm in that bullpen. Kyle Finnegan, Michigan man. I think he stays in Detroit. And Luke Weaver, I think, boringly stays with the New York Yankees. His market's going to be kind of not that good. Those are my predictions. I'd love to know what you guys think about them down in the comment section below. Give me your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to see it. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the baseball content coming at you. And follow me on all my social media. GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. That's where I'll wrap it up. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Peace out. Bye.